Hey everybody, this is Frilioth and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to build this 1.14 village breeder underground. To build the breeder you're going to need a stack of blocks of choice. We're using stone in this build. You're going to need 32 stone brick stairs or 32 stairs. You're going to need a stack and 3 of glass. You don't need to use glass if you don't want to, but if you want to see inside your breeder you're going to need to use glass. You're going to need 6 ladders to climb up to feed the villagers. You're going to need at least 2 blocks of glowstone. You're going to need a redstone lamp. Actually, you don't need a redstone lamp. You could use a solid block, but if you want to know when the villager breeder is turned on, then use a redstone lamp. You're going to need a lever and a normal piston. You're going to need 8 wooden doors. These have to be wooden doors. You're going to need an iron bar or a pane of glass or an end rod for the villagers to stand on. It can be one or the other, but you do need either an iron bar, a pane of glass, or an end rod. You're going to need a wooden trapdoor. Now this really has to be a wooden trapdoor. If you use a metal trapdoor you're going to need to have levers and solid blocks, and wooden doors just work by hand. They're easier to open and close, so use a wooden door. To get the villagers out of the breeder when they're born, you're going to need 8 powered rails, 1 detector rail, 1 dispenser, and it has to be a dispenser. You're going to need an observer block, a couple of pieces of redstone dust, a piece of string, some hoppers depending on how far away you want your minecart collection system to be. If you just want that to be right next to your dispenser, then you'll just need 1 hopper and a chest on top of it. You're going to need a sticky piston, and you're going to need a couple of redstone torches. You're also going to need a bucket of water for the bottom, and as many mine carts as you think you're going to have. Babies, the more the better. So you've got all your gear and you've got your location. The first thing you need to do is get yourself right up to the surface, and you need to dig a hole straight down, directly in the middle of the breeder. Obviously I can pop myself in creative to get all the way up here, but you're not going to be able to do that. So you need to get up to the top, and you need to locate the exact center of where the farm is going to be. In this case it's going to be this block here, and then you need to dig straight down. Now you can't put anything other than glass above this hole, so you can't build it underwater, you can't build it underneath trees, you can't put lava above it to disguise it. The only thing you can put at the top of this hole is glass. Anything else will invalidate the breeder. And also bear in mind, if you build this inside a mountain and the top of it is at the top of a mountain, if you get a layer of snow, just 1 layer of snow on top of the pane of glass, it will not work. Okay, it's going to break your breeder. So you need to dig all the way down. Obviously don't dig straight down in survival, it's really bad for you. And that there is going to be the center of my breeder. So you want to grab yourself your solid blocks, and you want to build a 5x5 area around the center. So you want to put some solid blocks down there, 3 high, and then leave a 3 gap and put another solid block up like that. Leave a 3 gap, put a solid block up like that. Now depending on which side you want the babies to come out of, if we say this is the front, I'm going to want my babies to come out of the back left hand side of the farm. So I'm going to have to put a stack of blocks there and a stack of blocks there. So it's like that. The babies are going to come out of that corner there. If you want them to come out of that corner, very, very simple. You put that column there, and then you move this column or these 2 columns to there, and then you can remove that, and then the babies will come out of this corner, but they need to go through a corner. You can't take them out through a solid block. You can't take them out if you're on a different Y level. If your minecart is on a different Y level to where your babies are, they won't come through the corners, but they have to go through the corner. As I say, I want mine to come out of the back left for no reason really. There's no right or wrong corner to take them out of. I just prefer the back left. So once you've got that, you need to grab your glass. You don't need glass down the bottom, but if you want to be able to see in and see your little babies, you're going to need glass. But if you don't have any glass and you just want to fill this with solid block, then by all means fill it with solid block. And then we can pop that out there. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now you want to take out your bit of glowstone. This can be a glowstone or a sea lantern or something like that. Then pop out the bottom block, put a block of glowstone at the bottom. That's just to provide a little bit of light. Doesn't need it, but this looks much better when you've got a bit of light in it. Then grab yourself some solid blocks, some temporary blocks, and put down 2 temporary blocks on top of your glowstone like that. And then on top of that, you need to put yourself down an iron bar or a pane of glass or an end rod. But you do need something it's got to be one or the other. It can't be a solid block. It can't be half a block. Can't be a slab. You need it to be something. It can't even be a fence post because fence posts sit slightly too high. When villagers are standing on fence posts, they sit half a block proud of this. So you do need either an iron bar, a pane of glass, or an end rod, and then you can get rid of the 2 blocks underneath, the temporary blocks underneath. Then you want to stick down 2 temporary blocks on top of the iron bar, and then around the top one you want to put yourself down some more glass, and then you want to put another row of glass on top of that like that, and then you can pop out the middle. This is where your adult villagers are going to stand, but don't fall in there just yet, otherwise you're going to have to break things to get out. Then you want to take out your stairs, and you need to put some stairs all the way around the outside. Like that. Now before we get the villagers in there, we need to stick in a trap door, a wooden trap door, and it needs to be on the bottom glass block down there. You don't want to be putting it at the top so it opens downwards. That would be too high. You need it on the bottom block, at the bottom of the block, so it opens upwards. If the door opens upwards, then you're on a winner. So open the door up and then push your villagers into the hole. And now these, you can get them up here however you like, really. Minecarts, bubble column elevators, pushing them up steps, in boats, just get them up here. I mean, I'm using a spawn egg because I can, but you just need to get them up here and then get them in the hole like this. In they go, get in. That's it, good lads. And then you can close the door. And that way, when they start throwing food about, the food isn't going to fall down the bottom, so it's not going to be wasted. And also, they're not going to be able to feed the babies at the bottom. So your babies are going to have a completely empty inventory, which allows you to put them into other farms or whatever around your base without having to worry about them having stuff already in their inventory. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now you need to whip out your solid blocks again and put a layer of solid blocks all the way around the top, around to there, and then you want to put a redstone lamp at the front. Now this doesn't have to be a redstone lamp. You can use a solid block if you want, but I like the redstone lamp because you know when the farm is turned on. At the moment the farm's off. Flick the lever, the button, the lamp will activate, and then this piston, you want to put a piston bang in the middle, normal piston. It goes up, and that will put the villager in range of the doors, which will turn the farm on. On, off, on, off. Then you want to grab your glass again, and you want to put some glass all the way around the outside of the piston. Like that. And this wants to be 3 high. 2, 3 high. And then you want to stick another villager. So it doesn't have to be a farmer. It can be any villager. You need another villager in there. Green coat's perfect, actually. Just a green coat. You're no good for anything else, are you? In you go. Like that. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now you need to take out your solid blocks again and put some solid blocks all the way around the top. Like that. And then in the middle, you want to be sticking down another piece of glowstone or a sea lantern or a jack-o'-lantern, up to you. That's just really, again, it's not there for any reason other than to light this place up. And also, you don't want mobs spawning in. I don't believe mobs can spawn on top of pistons anyway, but you don't want a zombie spawning in there, do you? That'd be just ridiculous. So like your friend, you don't need mobs knocking about. Then grab yourself your stairs again, and you just want to go around the outside of this with your upside down stairs, like that. So now you should have something that looks like that. Okay, before we put the doors on the breeder, I just want to quickly try and explain how door validation works. Now, it's an exact science, so if you understand how it works, then getting the doors valid is really, really straightforward, and there's no ambiguity with it either. They're either valid or they're not valid. So for a door to be valid, it needs a villager to be within 16 blocks of it on the X and Z coordinates. Okay, but it also needs a villager to be within 3 blocks of it, or within 3 blocks below it, and within 5 blocks above it. So if I put a door there, and if I put a door there, if a villager were to stand on that block, like that, that door is valid, because he's within 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 3 blocks above, and the door at the bottom is within 5 blocks below. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, if that door was there, that guy wouldn't be able to see that door because it's too far down. It's out of his range. This is only on Java, on console, on Xbox, PC, Windows 10, and on PS4. They use a completely different mechanic. So this is only valid for Java. But a villager will recognize a door that's 5 blocks below him and 3 blocks above him, and as long as he's within 16 blocks on the X and Z coordinates. So that's one thing that that's the first thing that the door needs to be valid. It needs a villager within range. The second thing a door needs to be valid is it needs a different number of blocks on one side above it than it's got on the other side above it. It doesn't have to be actually above it. It has to be above the base of the door. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So starting from the block the door is on, it needs a different number of blocks on one side than it's got on the other. Now this can either be, as I say, it can either be above it or it can be on the same level. At the moment, don't take into account, or sorry, you'll have to dismiss the fact that we've got blocks there at the moment. You just have to assume this is above ground just for this little part of the demonstration. So hopefully you can understand. So at the moment that door is invalid. We've got a villager within range, so the door should be valid as far as villagers are concerned, but it's invalid because it's got 5 blocks on that side and it's got 5 blocks on this side. Okay, blocking sky access, for want of a better word. If I were to pop that block out, it would have 4 blocks on this side and it would have 5 blocks on this side, so therefore that door would be valid. Okay, but if I pop that block out, then it would have 4 blocks on this side and it would have 4 blocks on this side, so it's invalid again because it's got an equal number of blocks on the left as it's got on the right. Okay, so again, if I would pop out all of those, it would now have 4 blocks on this side, it would have 1 block on this side, therefore that is now a valid door. Okay, and these blocks don't have to just be there, they can be up here as well, can be above it. So if we put a line of blocks all the way above like that, that's currently invalid because it's got 5 blocks. You don't count the one that's directly above the door. Okay, that's never counted, but it's got 5 blocks this side, it's got 5 blocks this side, invalid door. So if we were to knock out that block there, even if we put blocks there, we would knock out that block at the end. It would have 4 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4 on one side, but 5 on the other side. That is a valid door. So that door could be in complete darkness, doesn't need to have sky access. It's a common misconception that the door needs sky access to be valid. It doesn't. It needs a different number of blocks on one side than it's got on the other. So that door is completely blocked in, but it's got 5 blocks on one side and it's got 4 blocks on the other. Therefore, that's a valid door. I hope that makes sense to most of you, to some of you. As I say, it's an exact science. If you've got a breeder that's not working, there's only a few reasons why it won't be working. It's either got another valid door within 64 blocks of it, causing the village to be invalid. It's the doors that are in the village at the top of the breeder are invalid, stopping it from working. Or the guy in the guys down here in the bottom haven't been fed. So there's only those three things that will stop this from working. A valid door within 64 blocks, invalid doors at the top of your farm, or hungry villagers. As long as all those three are satisfied, your breed is going to work. So what you want to do now then is grab your doors, and you need to put 2 doors like that, 2 doors like that, 2 doors like that, 2 doors like that. Okay, so this village now has 8 valid doors, and they're valid because each one of them has got 5 blocks on one side, but only because of the hole in the middle, because of that hole, they've only got 4 blocks on this side. Okay, so those 2 doors there, 5 blocks that side, 4 blocks this side, valid doors. These 2 doors here have got 5 blocks on this side, 4 blocks on this side, therefore valid doors. Same with these, valid doors, 5 blocks on this side, 4 blocks on this side, valid doors. So all they need now to be valid, completely valid, is that villager to be 1 block further up, which puts him in the detection range of the doors, and then they will be valid. I've banged on about valid doors, valid this, valid that, valid, but valid doors are important. The most common question I have is, I've done exactly what you've told me to do in the tutorial, but it won't work. Oh, by the way, I've built this underground. Oh, by the way, I've built this underwater. By doing that, you invalidate the top doors, and then it won't work. Anyway, I've banged on about it a lot. So that is what you should have now. So before we think about turning this thing on for the first time, you want to go around the back. We need to put in the system to take the babies out of the farm. I keep calling it a farm. Keep taking the babies out of the breeder. And we're going to take them out of the back left-hand corner, like I mentioned. So you want to get over to the back left, and you want to pop out those 2 blocks, stick yourself down a redstone torch, and then you want to put down a couple of powered rails like that. And then you want to remove this block, and you want to put an observer block in there. And you want to put the observer block facing this way. You want your redstone activation, your redstone part this way. You want your smiley face over this way. Okay, so you need to get around this side, and then jump up, put down your observer block like that. So the detection part is there, the redstone part is there. And then you want to remove the bit of glass and replace it with a solid block. Then you want to grab yourself a piece of string, and you need to put a piece of string on the face of the observer. So now every time something goes through this piece of string, it's going to activate the observer block, which is going to put a signal, put a pulse through that solid block there. And then you want to just step down with some solid blocks like that. And then on the top of these 2 blocks that you just put down, you want to put down a couple of pieces of redstone dust, like so. Now you need to grab yourself a sticky piston, and you need to put a sticky piston just there, like that. Okay? And then you want to dig out this block here, and you want to replace that with a dispenser. It has to be a dispenser, can't be a dropper, otherwise it won't work. It has to be a dispenser. And then you can put a powered rail on top of it. And now we need to dig down 1 block and dig a trench. Dig a tunnel out of the way. This is the line where your babies are going to go out of when they're taken out of the breeder and they're all grown up. So just here, okay, you've got your 3 powered rails. Just here you need to put down a detector rail, sorry. So every time the minecart goes over that detector rail, it's going to fire that dispenser, firing out another minecart onto the rails. And then you want to pop out a couple of blocks here, put in a redstone torch, and then you want to put some powered rails leading off to wherever you want the villager to go to. Okay, now you need to stick yourself down a solid block just there over the top of that. You want to look at the detector rail and put down a solid block, so it's blocking the route of the minecart. The minecart won't be able to go anywhere now until the detector rail, the observer block, has been activated. Now you want to get yourself around here. We need a way to fill up the dispenser. So you want to pop out that block there. You want to put a hopper facing into the dispenser just there, like that. Now you can either put a couple of chests on there, a chest on there, or a couple of chests on there if you want to fill it manually. If you want to have this filled up automatically with the minecarts returning, so you might have a system over here with the minecarts returning back, bumping into a cactus, which is great. You can then dig this out and put a return line of hoppers back into the dispenser there. So when your minecarts get broken, they just get returned back into your system. Then you'll probably want to just cover those over so that nothing falls in there by accident. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now lastly, before we turn this thing on, you need to get yourself some water. So grab yourself a bucket of water, and you want to stick a bucket of water in the opposite corner to where the baby villagers are going to be taken out of the breeder. Okay, our baby villagers are coming out here, so our bucket of water has to be here. Like that. So now every time the babies fall into the water, they're going to get pushed into this corner, and then they're going to get picked up by the minecarts. So if we stick some minecarts in the system, like that, and then we stick a minecart on here to prime it, that's just going to bounce backwards and forwards now until it's got a villager in it. But it won't be released. The minecart won't be released while the villager is a baby, because it needs to activate the detector block, the observer block at the top. So this is a fantastic little system for stopping baby villagers getting into your trading hall or into your farms or wherever. The villager won't be released until he's grown up, I think is what I'm trying to say. So if we stick a grown-up villager in there, just to show you how it works. So the villager's in there, he's going to jump about. They jump about quite a lot in the water now. Probably stuck him in the wrong place. That's it. So he's going to get picked up. The tripwire there gets activated, and the villager goes on his way, and he's gone down here. He took a bit of damage because he fell down there, but then we knew that was going to be the case. So now we can block that back up again. Now you need to grab yourself a couple of ladders. If you want this to look symmetrical, then you can stick ladders on either side. Get yourself up to the top, and then you want to break this block just there. And now you can throw these guys in there. Loads and loads and loads of food. Now try and keep the food in the same food group. If you're going to feed them carrots, always feed them carrots. If you're going to feed them potatoes, always potatoes. If you're going to feed them bread, always feed them bread. Okay, do not feed them beetroot. Please do not throw beetroot to these guys. They'll pick it up, but all it's going to do is fill up their inventory, and they won't breed if they eat beetroot, and then your farm's going to break. If they're full of beetroot, it won't work. So I'm just going to throw in loads and loads of carrots. Now, if they pick them up equally, then that's fantastic. Then it's perfect. However, if you see them throwing food to each other for more than a couple of seconds, it means that you've got a greedy villager in there who's picking up all the food and then throwing it, but picking it up again quicker than the other villager can pick it up. Okay, if that's the case, if you see food being thrown about inside your breeder for more than a few seconds, you've got a greedy villager in there, and the only way to get round that is to throw them more food. And that way the greedy villager's inventory gets filled up, and then it allows the other one to be able to pick food up. So now all we have to do is turn it on. As you see, that guy is now within range because of what we spoke about over here. He's now within 3 blocks of the doors above him, validating those doors. The doors are valid as well because they've got 5 blocks on one side and only 4 blocks on the other. These guys down the bottom have been fed. All 3 criteria have been sorted out. So now we've just got to wait for the little babies. And there he is, and it now takes quite a little bit longer for babies to be born. Mojang seem to have changed the algorithm on calculating when babies are born. They used to be born every, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes or so. Now it seems like it takes upwards of 10 minutes to get a baby. So a breeder with 2 villagers in the spawning in the breeding pod will give you 6 or 7 babies an hour, which is not prolific, but if you AFK here overnight and keep them fed, you'll have an absolute boatload of villagers down there by the morning. Now, if you wanted to stick more villagers in there, you can do, but you've got to bear a couple of things in mind. Firstly, if you get a couple of greedy villagers in there, you are going to have to throw them absolutely loads and loads of food because of what I mentioned earlier about greedy villagers hoarding food. If you've got 3 or 4 greedy villagers in there, they need 8 stacks of carrots before the others will start getting any. So bear that in mind. And also, I found in testing that the more villagers I put in the bottom, yes, it increases babies, but it doesn't increase. If I put 4 villagers in there, it doesn't double the amount of babies I get. Okay, I think in testing, the 2 villagers spawned. 2 villagers had 7 babies in an hour. 4 villagers had 9 babies in an hour, and 6 villagers in there only had 12 babies in an hour. So although you do get more babies, each pair doesn't have as many babies, if that makes any sense. And also there is a possibility that the baby will get stuck in between the adults. If you have more than 2 in there and they're in opposite corners, the baby may well be born bang in the middle, and then he'll stand on the block and he won't be able to fall out, and then he'll just grow up, and that won't be any good. So now we've got a little baby in there, and he's going to sit in there all happy until he grows up and his head goes into the string. And it doesn't matter how many babies fall down in there, another one won't be picked up until that one leaves. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You've got a villager breeder that works underground. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, everybody. If you have, please don't forget to leave it a like. And if you've really loved it, don't forget to subscribe for future tutorials. This is Frilioth, and I'm out of here.